Immanuel Iheanacho is ready to start as a true freshman. Stay tuned as we break down his highlights and reveal why we believe this five-star has immense potential. Immanuel Iheanacho is massive, enormous high school recruit. This five-star could be a starter right off the bat wherever he lands. Ryan, what stands out to you about Iheanacho?
I mean, you just don't see the guys this big, right? Like typically coming out of high school. And it's really interesting, Joe, because I don't know if you've seen like clips of him just playing basketball and dunking and stuff. He's not like a fat 6'6", 340 pounds. Like he's just massive, man. Like everything about him is just big. Like big lower body, big hands, big feet. Like he's just a massive young man. So from a college ready perspective, he's going to come in day one in college football, and he is going to look the part. And in fact, he's going to be one of the more physically impressive guys just on the hoof of a guy that maybe could start potentially as a true freshman. So size, he has incredible power. Like you see, I mean, his high school highlight tape is pretty nutty, dude. Like he's just throwing guys ultimately. Like he's just massive, physical, powerful. This kid has a college-ready frame today.
There definitely needs to be some cleanup in his technique and how he plays as a blocker. He needs to not just throw kids. He's going up against some tiny defensive linemen, so it's a lot easier for him to do that. That's not going to work in the college. But what does help him potentially immediately start is how big he is. A lot of times we talk about these linemen, and it's like, oh, he's listed at 270. He's listed at 280. But he's listed at 345 pounds. I think that he leaned down maybe a little bit in his first few years in college, but having that starting ready build and also the power, the quick ability for him to generate force the way that he can will allow him to step onto the field in some form or fashion. Maybe it's for a team that has established tackles and he steps in at guard and then eventually moves out the tackle. We see that all the time for teams when they end up getting a high five-star that shows some nice footwork and some nice impact during practice. Iheanacho could be one of these players that we're talking about that is a plug-and-play freshman that is important for team success in his first year in college football.
I do think the positional conversation is pretty interesting because, like you talked about it slightly there, but he plays left tackle in high school now. But one thing that I am curious about is just from a lateral mobility perspective, from a flexibility perspective, how well he'll handle outside speed rushers on the college level for a guy that big, right, with a lack of bends. But I am curious to see if he could maybe play inside long term, because there are some people that do list him as an offensive tackle in the recruiting services, and there are others that list him as an interior offensive lineman. So I'm almost curious if this is a big, massive, just power plug of an offensive guard on the next level, and if that would ultimately be the best spot possible for him to unlock that power profile that he has.
His background and where he stacks in the class, he's the second interior offensive lineman on 247 Sports. So to that point that you just made there, the second recruit in the state of Maryland, and then the number 22 recruit nationally. On the composite, though, he's listed as the number 8 recruit nationally. 6'6.5", 345 pounds, coming out of Georgetown Prep in Baltimore, Maryland. I will just keep hitting home on that it is not easy to find a big ass kid like this, and that stuff is going to show up wherever he ends up committing.
Yep. Now, I mean, that size is obviously a very easy allure to a lot of teams, and ultimately that's why he is such a national recruit, is that you just don't see kids quite as big as him and have the frame that Iheanacho possesses ultimately. So we know, Joe, this is true on the college level. This is true on the NFL level. There are not enough good offensive linemen. There aren't. And this is why that this young man has been pursued by so many, because you need to find that God-given size that just not a lot of people have.
Folks, comment below your thoughts on Iheanacho. Hit that like button and subscribe. We'll talk to you later.